Good evening, Eswatini, and welcome to the 8 p.m. news broadcast brought to you by Eswatini TV. My name is Nondo Begonzapkelwago. Let's take a look at tonight's headlines. The election of the senator who will replace the late Senator Mike Temple did not proceed as expected in the House of Assembly. Even though friends and relatives are still not allowed to visit inmates in the country's correctional services facilities, they can now send them money. The Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority has established a website where businesses can exhibit their products. And now for the news. The Ministry of Health has reported 109 new confirmed COVID-19 cases in the country, which brings the total number of confirmed cases to 2,316 since the country started reporting. The ministry also reported 2 new deaths, bringing the total number of deaths to 34. According to a statement, there are 1,148 active cases, 1,025 have recovered, 34 are deceased, and 109 have been registered for care. The 2 new deaths are a 66-year-old woman from Manzini and a 41-year-old man. Looking at the cumulative confirmed COVID-19 cases by region, Manzini has 1,100 confirmed cases, Hoho has 887, Shiselweni has 188, while the Lubombo region has 141 confirmed cases of COVID-19. Let's continue with the news. The much-awaited election of the senator who will replace the late Senator Mike Temple did not proceed as expected today in the House of Assembly. This follows that the National Commissioner of Police, Gugulethu Dlamini, through a letter, informed the House that the police have not completed the vetting process of candidates who will stand for elections.
The exercise to elect a senator who will replace the late Senator Mike Temple started last week when the House of Assembly nominated candidates who will stand for the elections as per the Senate Elections Act of 2013. 5 candidates were nominated by the House, being Sifiso Mabuza, Bongane Matsebula, Jachis Potgita, Ngomiayona Gametse, and Jimmy Hlope. On Monday, members of parliament were supposed to cast their vote, but before they could proceed, Ndvuna Dlamini, who is the returning officer of the election, explained that according to the Senate Elections Act and the Constitution of the country, the candidates must be vetted by both the police and the Eswatini Revenue Authority, that they must be Swati and must have been registered for the country's elections. Dlamini told the House that one of the candidates was disqualified because he had not registered for the 2018 elections, according to the EBC.
I regret to inform the August House that one candidate by the name of Potgita, Sithomas Cheka ne EBC, wakanzakala ukuthi akalibhaliselanga. Okay. That there was another candidate by the name of Mpendulo Ngomiayona Gametse Bashoneshwa ubeseke uyahotisa le candidate ngetizathu etatiwa nguye.
After the announcements pertaining to the 2 candidates, it was expected that the voting process would get underway, but that could not happen as the returning officer informed the House of a letter he had received from the National Police Commissioner William Dlamini regarding the vetting process of the candidates.
We wish to bring to the fore that due to the complex and involved nature of this exercise, it has not yet been finalized. We anticipate that all being equal, the process should be exhausted before the end of business on Monday, the 3rd August, 2020.
The returning officer informed the House that having received such a letter from the police, it meant that the requirements of the Senate Elections Act have not been fully complied with, hence his hands were tied and he could not proceed with the elections. Hence, he sought advice from the Speaker, Petros Mavimbela.
Kulandela ukuthi so sidekele ingcinamba that bahlangana nato returning officer kusho ukuthi bahlonishwa singeke vele siqhubeke nalomsebenzi namuhla.
The Speaker adjourned the House until the 5th of August 2020. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Sibusiso Ngubane in Parliament.
The Deputy Prime Minister's Office paid HM Holdings Pty Ltd a total amount of 4,952,000 emalangeni for irregular maintenance contract. This is contained in a compliance report that was delivered by the Minister for Finance in Parliament.
The Director General says he informed the controlling officer that maintenance contracts for 21 sharp digital copier machines were signed by unauthorized officers, being the manager of the disaster department, director social welfare, and the principal accountant. The contracts were not signed by the controlling officer and were not reviewed and approved by the Attorney General as per the requirement for all contractual agreements for all public entities, including the Deputy Prime Minister's Office. The Auditor General says the Deputy Prime Minister's Office failed to comply with Section 17, subsection 5 of the Public Procurement Regulations of 2008, which states that contract documents should be authorized by the controlling officer prior to their issue, provided that they are in line with the authorizations of the relevant approvals authority. The Auditor General says in his memorandum dated the 17th of January 2019, he alerted the controlling officer that public funds were not used economically in the lease of copier machines. And audit inspections carried out by the Internal Audit Department through a memorandum revealed that if the machines were purchased, the expenditure would have been 760,060 emalangeni, which is far less than the leasing amount of more than 2 million emalangeni that was eventually spent. The Auditor General says the total amount that government would have spent when buying the machines would have been 1,445,000 emalangeni instead of the fruitless expenditure amounting to 2,734,000 emalangeni. In his response, the controlling officer concurred with the findings. He further stated that at the time when the Deputy Prime Minister's Office opted for lease of the copiers, the option was presented to be affordable, without noting that in the long run, it shall be a huge cost as the copiers did not come with the necessary accessories. For Eswatini TV News, I am Lincoln Gule in Babane.
2 Eswatini TV employees have tested positive for COVID-19. This is according to the Acting Chief Executive Officer, Mncedisi Mayisela.
On Sunday, the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of ICT, Maxwell Masuku, confirmed a positive case of COVID-19 at the Eswatini Broadcasting and Information Services. Hardly 24 hours later, the Acting Chief Executive Officer of Eswatini Television Authority, Mncedisi Mayisela, announced 2 confirmed positive cases of COVID-19 at the authority.
Kube khona tisebenzi letimbili kuwo lomsakazo wetithombe.
Yes, we have 2 of our colleagues who have contracted COVID-19. One of them works at the finance department, while the other is at the administration department. Hence, we found it prudent to suspend all operations in the 2 departments. We have engaged the National Disaster Management Agency to help us with fumigation at the station. All the departments will function as normal, especially the broadcasting unit, which is not directly affected.
Neltiko letaka ICT kulelisukudlula namhla siyachela onke lawo mahhovisi lesibona ukuthi kufanele lokuthi achelwe ngokuthi athinzekile. Kepha ke sicela kwendlulisa kuso sive senkosi lo ukuthi kutawuqhubeka nje kusebenzeke bekunene. Umsakazo utawuqhubeka unetfulele etinhlelo njengaloko dayelekile ikakhulu ngoba luhlangothi lolu mcoka kakhulu lolwangale ekusakadeni akusilo nani lelithinzekile tisebenzi nje usikhuluma tisemsebenzini tiyasebenta.
Mayisela says all the necessary precautions have been taken and the administration block where the 2 staffers are stationed have been temporarily closed. For Eswatini TV News, I am Lincoln Gule in Babane.
Friends and relatives of His Majesty's Correctional Service inmates can be able to send money through mobile money to inmates to cater for their needs. According to the Public Relations Officer for His Majesty's Correctional Service, Gugulethu Dlamini, this program is meant to ensure that inmates' essential needs are taken care of amid the COVID-19 pandemic.
When the first COVID-19 case was announced in the country, the government of Eswatini moved swiftly to announce the COVID-19 guidelines meant to curb the spread of the pandemic. Some of the guidelines include that visiting inmates in all the facilities in the country is suspended. His Majesty's Correctional Services has initiated a program that will ensure that relatives and friends of inmates in all the facilities are able to send money through mobile money. Gugulethu Dlamini, Correctional Service Public Relations Officer, says that this program, which Commissioner General initiated with the assistance of their stakeholders, is meant to allow inmates' needs to be catered for. Dlamini says inmates need toiletries and money to buy food that can assist in preventing the pandemic.
Siteshi ngesiteshi nje lesikhona la stonke tinato tinombolo ta mobile money la kufakwa khona timali tabo laba bekunene. Leti nombolo ke nanabo ngoba bayakhona kushaya tincingo lengekhathi bayakhona kushaya hlobo tabo babatshele ukuthi cane sifakele imali kuna inombolo nayo ya mobile money lokuhlukanisa ukuthi leyo mali leyo iconza kubani kuba kukhona inombolo lonikwa yona nawufika ejele le nombolo lonikwa yona ngatheni ifana ne-ID yakho kude loyo banayo ngalowo mnyaka iba yakho nje vele noma nini kude loyo phinza abe nayo so kuyowadiwa ngisho noma ngabe after 20 years kuyobe wadiwa ukuthi go number bani bekungugulethu Dlamini.
In a statement by United Nations Director General in response to COVID-19, in closed settings, countries are encouraged to respect the human rights of people deprived of their liberty. Restrictions imposed must be necessary and evidence-informed. The statement says the disruptive impact of such measures should be actively mitigated, such as through enhanced access to telephones or digital communications if visits are limited. For Eswatini TV News, Sondamlangeni with Giani Msibi in Mbabane.
The Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority has developed an online trade support center to create a linkage between business people and their customers during the COVID-19 pandemic. This was said by the Executive Manager, Trade Promotion, Bongani Njangase.
The Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority is reinventing new ways and strategies to promote trade in the kingdom. The company's executive manager in trade promotion, Bongani Njangase, says they continue to promote foreign investment in the country.
As IPA, we are now on using virtual technology to promote businesses, to create linkages, to get investors into Eswatini, which are activities that have not been suspended, they've always been ongoing. We have even set up a trade support center, which is a virtual center, not a physical center. It's not one of those centers where you'll walk in. The trade support center, as it may be, it can be contacted through our emails and even via our website, which is www.eswatininvestment.com. When you're contacting us through the trade support center, mainly it's to create linkages between consumers and someone who is selling goods or services. That does not necessarily need these two parties to meet in person, but we've created a platform where business can transact through virtual connections and visual linkages. For the business community who may want support in trade, you have got goods and services that you want to sell, or you have got goods and services that you want to buy. You can contact our trade support center via an email, which is trade@sipa.org.sz, or you can call us at 2404-0470.
Njangase says as a way of ensuring continued trade and investment in the country, they are working on having an online exhibition where business people will showcase their products. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I am Nelson Dlamini with Musim Konda in Mbabane.
Chief Justice Bheki Maphalala is worried about the bad road infrastructure which is stagnating development in the Sandleni area. The Chief Justice said this during an interview with Eswatini TV.
Maphalala says the state of the road at Sandleni is crippling the area, particularly vehicles of Sandleni residents. He says whilst the situation is bad, he is hopeful that government will address the issue soonest.
A lot of people have lost their cars because of the bad roads. Whenever you are traveling back home, you have the problem of the bad roads. We are just hoping that the Member of Parliament will assist and try to get the relevant ministries to assist us so that you can have a tar road. We are the only region in the Shiselweni where the roads are very, very terrible. We are appealing to government to assist us because even investors cannot come to our area because of the bad roads.
Sandleni Member of Parliament Mduduzi Gama for the Sandleni area says the reason why investors don't find it feasible to open businesses in the area is because of the bad road infrastructure.
Imtamo menengi kakhulu esesiyentile. Sisuke saya ka roads enhlangano. Lo mgwaqo nje kusuka emahlaleni ushaya imbowane ude la kontshingila ukhuphuke kusuka enhlangano ngumgwaqo lomkhulu lo shortcut kuya eBig Bend. Kodwa ke indlela lo neglected ngayo iyesabeka. Na ungasuka nje la usuka kamagagane ukhuphuke uthi umgwaqo mubi ngendlela lemangalisako. Lokhu kuyasivimba sineliphupho lokuthi kube khona into leti njenge mafem lekungasita labantwana labashiye njoba sibonile ukuthi labanengi bantwana labakhubatekile bakhuliswa ngilabogogo.
When speaking to the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Public Works and Transport, Kangeziwe Mabuza, she says it is part of their soon-to-be implemented measures to re-gravel and fix the roads. Reporting for Eswatini News, I'm Sifiso Ngumalo with Smuva Shongwe, Sandleni.
Over 1,200 vegetable farmers have registered under NAMPOD's Agricultural Market Information System, an online platform where farmers' data is collected for ease of doing business trade. This was said by the Chief Executive Officer, Gugulethu Dlamini.
To ensure that the kingdom is food secured, NAMPOD started registering vegetable farmers through the Agricultural Market and Information System, a digital platform where vegetable farmers register for ease of doing business. The Chief Executive Officer, Gugulethu Dlamini, says the system has allowed some farmers to interact with big players in the market.
We have seen an increased uptake or participation in the number of farmers that are coming through into this program. Already we have over 1,200 that have actively registered and participated in the trade of their produce as and when it becomes ready. AMIS is presenting itself to benefit many players, not only the farmers. Researchers will benefit from it. International markets will benefit from it just to know what is it that we can produce with a better advantage or competitive advantage.
Dlamini says the country has produced enough vegetables to supply to different markets.
Just using AMIS, we've been able to record the high volume of cabbages and spinach which we are seeing in the market as of now. Farmers responded and started producing this in huge volumes, such that now we can confirm that we are supplying, farmers are able to supply the whole country with spinach and cabbages. What we can only do is to encourage consumers that there are many markets that are selling this because it is in high demand and it needs to be sold as fresh.
The Agricultural Market Information System is one of government's many ways of ensuring food security in the country. To further ensure this, government allocated a budget of 1.7 billion emalangeni to the Ministry of Agriculture for the year 2020-2021. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Nelson Dlangamandla with Muzi Mukonda in Manzini.
The Police Information and Communications Officer, Superintendent Phindile Vilagati, warns the nation against regularly bending the COVID-19 regulations. This follows allegations that a certain homestead in Vabanfu area is said to have hosted a party this past weekend where people were enjoying themselves drinking liquor.
A certain homestead at Mfabantu area is alleged to have broken the COVID-19 regulations by hosting a party where booze was the order of the day, where concerned residents, including community police, alarmed the police, who it is said took time and find that some had already gone. Gugulethu Dlamini, a member of the Mfabantu Inner Council, says this is not the first time the said homestead break the regulations because they usually host such parties. Dlamini says they will deal with the matter at the inner council level, where they will summon the elders and everyone involved and see what action will be taken against the family. The Chief Police Information and Communications Officer, Superintendent Pindile Vilagati, says police were informed and upon reaching to the said homestead, unfortunately they could not find any beer nor the set number of people, but rather advised those that they find to vacate the place, which they did. The Manzini Regional Administrator, Chief Gija, whom we spoke to on the phone, says he had not received that report, but once he does, he will ensure that the law takes its place. According to the COVID-19 regulations, Part 2 emphasizes clearly and points out that every person in the Kingdom of Eswatini shall take steps to prevent the spread of COVID-19 as determined by the Minister of Health from time to time. I am Kian Msibi with Sondom Langeni, Mfabantu.
Now for our sports news. Former Manzini Wanderers chairman Patrick Gamete says whoever gets elected for the position of the chairman of the Premier League of Eswatini must prioritize the interest of the organization. Gamete was speaking in an interview with Eswatini TV Sports in Mbabane.
The local football fraternity awaits to who will lead the Premier League of Eswatini as chairman for the next 4 years. Names have come up as main candidates for the race. That includes current chairman Peter Magagura, Premier League of Eswatini executive member and Manzini Sundown Boards Taka Michael, Pigs Peak Black Swallows chairman Charles Matsebura, executive member Mashumi Shongwe, Manzini Seabirds and executive member Stelo Mkonda, and former executive member of the Mbabane Swallows Bongani Mamba. Former Manzini Wanderers chairman Patrick Gamete, who also had a chance to serve with all the above candidates during his time as a member of the organization, says whoever gets the hot seat must be able to put the interest of the organization at heart.
Lota ukona interactor with the corporates because ibola itsinga umuntu lota ubanale network lota ukhona kukhulumisana nema sponsors alide le team yakhe, which is the
Gamete says individual must have capabilities of bringing sponsors on the table for the benefits of the league. He says honesty is another key aspect that the candidate must possess.
Honesty comes in various forms. One kuba ukuthi mangabe kunaba conflict of interest kumuntu futhi declare.
Gamete concluded wishing the above nominees all the best ahead of the elections. Whoever gets to be elected will lead the organization for the next 4 years. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Babane.
Nonhlanhla Matabela, who is the head of gender based under the Athletics Association of Eswatini, says currently women only make up 30% when it comes to athletics in the country as compared to men who make up 70%. Matabela says the organization is working tirelessly to increase the number of women in the athletics in the country. She was speaking in an interview with the Eswatini TV Sports in Mbabane.
The Eswatini Athletics Association continues its journey of developing the sport. According to Nonhlanhla Matabela, who heads the gender department, the association is working on increasing the number of women representation in athletics.
37, it is still very low. We still have more of the males than the females. Okay, currently we are still working on upping the numbers. We don't really have enough numbers for the women who are participating, but we are trying very hard to see kuma region so that we get more females Otherwise, the numbers are still very low.
Matabela says they have already established ways on how the numbers will be increased.
Okay, currently we are relying on the regional workshops that are being conducted. Coach nema officials. So that we will get in that pool so that we get more participants. Yes, and we also rely from the schools and colleges because that is where most of them athletes are singawathola.
Sustainable Development Goal number 5 speaks to gender equality and women empowerment, which seemingly the association is in line with. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Babane.
Before we wrap up our bulletin, let's take a quick recap of the headlines. The election of the senator who will replace the late Senator Mike Temple did not proceed as expected in the House of Assembly. Even though friends and relatives are still not allowed to visit inmates in the country's correctional services facilities, they can now send them money. The Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority has established a website where businesses can exhibit their products. Eswatini, that's all the news we had for you tonight. Up next is the weather forecast. Good night and God bless.